Hi, and welcome to Dragonfly Paranormal. Today I'd like to continue on with part 3 of the series I started, EVP for Beginners on a Budget. So in part 1, we did various recording devices that you can utilize that you may already have and not think that you would be able to use them for recording. Items that you may be able to borrow from someone or just have already laying around. In video 2, we recapped various noise-making apps and devices and just other items you may have at home, running water, a fountain, items like that. So now I want to jump right into video 3 because there's a lot of things I want to try to cover in the shortest amount of time possible. The first thing I'd like to cover is the setting. If you're on location, or even in your own home for that matter, but if you're on location at a cemetery or the place of a car accident, a battlefield, various things of that nature, you want to try to choose a time or a location that has as few distractions as possible. And the same goes for while you're in your home and you're trying to collect EVPs. You don't want it when your kids are the most active, when your neighbors are going to be starting their cars to leave for work, or during a high commute time where you're going to get loud mufflers and thumping music and who knows what all. And another thing when you're talking about locations, think outside of the box. Not only do you have, the typical, the battlefields, the haunted houses, things of that nature, cemeteries, but also think about bridges and shorelines and beaches and motels and hotels, junkyards where there's cars there and motorcycles, things of that nature where people have lost their lives, be it suicide, murder, or just accidents. But those are all places where you might be able to collect some EVPs. And another thing I want to point out to you is when you do go to make contact with spirits to do your EVPs, please remember to always say please, thank you, goodbye. Just you wouldn't invite someone to your home without an invitation and saying please and thank you and goodbye. Don't do that to EVPs. They're not there for your amusement. They're there for your research, and this is what this is research. When asking questions while you're recording your EVPs, remember to leave time in between each question to allow them the time to answer. It's not always as if you're sitting across the table from someone. There might be a delay. What causes that delay, I don't know. But typically a few seconds. So I want to say give them 20 to 30 seconds to give you an answer. But at least be polite enough to allow them the time to get the question and then to use and generate the energy it takes to give you the answer you seek. Another thing is never ever provoke spirits. Don't be rude to them. Don't antagonize. Don't be rude and nasty to them. You just don't do that. I don't care what you see on one of the famous ghost hunting shows. Don't do it. It's rude and it's wrong. Record in short segments, especially when you're first starting out. It's okay to go to a cemetery or even in your own home and do a 30-minute EVP session. Just remember to record, though, in short segments. Do 2 to 4 minutes max. And then hit your stop button and then record again. Depending on your device. If you're using Audacity, you would open up a new window and continue to record and then just stack those windows on your computer and then you can go through. And even if you just, when you start a new one, say this is number 1, this is number 2, you should always be saying the date and the time anyway in your recordings when you start a recording so that you have proof of when that was recorded as you go back and listen to them. If you decide to go to a location, never ever, I don't care if it's abandoned, someone owns that. Be it a private person, the county, the state, whomever. Someone owns that property. You can be arrested for trespassing. Even if there's damage, they can lay the damage to you, whether you did it or not. Do not trespass. Get permission in writing if is preferable. In some circumstances, you might be able to get the owner of that property to go with you and be present during the entire thing. You may have to remind them to be quiet, because you can't get usable EVPs if someone runs their mouth through the whole entire thing, which is another thing. I don't care what you see on the TV shows where they talk nonstop. Let the spirits speak, because after all, it is all about them. Ask your question, be quiet, let them answer. Ask your next question, be quiet, let them answer. When you go through to listen to an Audacity or a program similar to that on your computer, to my knowledge, there's no apps that you can listen and edit on smartphones. It's just via computer. There might be, I don't know about them, I don't use them. I don't even look for them, because I use Audacity and I love it. Part of the reason why I say do 2 to 4 minute segments, especially when just beginning, is that you're going to want to listen to them multiple times. And then take specific areas of those short segments and slow it down and listen to it before you make any editing changes to any segment. Always make sure that what you are editing is a copy. Always keep an original untouched so that you can compare the two. I kind of jumped around there and I apologize, but that come to mind and I wanted to make sure that you had that. Jumping back to while you're on location. Leave it as you found it, only better. So if you go to a location, it's okay to bring bottled water, especially if you know you're going to be there for a while. Bring bottled water, bring a few snacks, what have you, chewing gum. But never ever set anything down and say, oh, I'll come and pick that up later. Odds are you won't remember. You get wrapped up in the moment and you forget. If you've carried it in, you carry it out. If you see where someone else has been disrespectful and has not done that, pick it up and carry it out. Leave it the same as you found it, only better. If you are in a location, be it a cemetery or a park or what have you, and you've gone there with the sole purpose of doing EVPs, be considerate of those around you that are there. If they are in, especially in a cemetery, odds are if they are there because they're grieving, they're missing someone, and they're paying respects. Don't just whip out your equipment and figure, ooh, and I'm going to show them what I can do. No. Move off to another section. Be discreet. Start taking notes. Snap some pictures of headstones. You might be surprised as to what you have captured in video or pictures as you're just quietly moving along. Take notations. Did you kind of feel a chill in this area over here? Did you smell something very peculiar in this area that is really out of place? Did you taste something sweet, bitter, metallic that you shouldn't be tasting while you're doing? And just take notes and kind of wander and don't raise awareness to you being there. If this party that's in the cemetery still has not moved on by the time you complete this, get in your vehicle, drive to the nearest corner store, get a soda, kill a few minutes, and then come back. Because they may be there because There's something, especially if they have a loved one buried there. They may be there because you raised an awareness in them that you were out of place. And they may not leave till they know you have left for fear of vandalism, or who knows. In this day and age, what thoughts might run through their heads that you have raised an alarm to. So, okay, so you go, you kill 15, 20, 30 minutes, come back, see if they've left. Odds are by that time they will have. And then you can discreetly go about your way. If someone shows up while you're doing that, don't make a big production of it. Just kind of meander off in a different corner. But if you're asked, don't confront anybody. If you're asked to stop and to leave, just do so. You may have already collected all that you were going to get. Another point, be respectful of any rules or regulations within public areas. Some local, state, and federal parks do have rules where equipment and activities are allowed, that they allow without written permission. There is one federal park that comes to mind that is very specific about what type of equipment you can, and they tell you if it's beyond the norm of a regular tourist, it is not allowed without you contacting them prior to. Keep that in mind. So, I mean, you may be told, no, what you're doing is not allowed. And so if you enter a park like that, I'm not saying don't try to capture EVPs or pictures of anything. Be as discreet as you can. You may not be able to use a ghost box or a ghost box app, but it doesn't mean that you can't record and still ask questions out loud and see where it takes you, see what you may get. Another thing, when it does come to smoking, if you are trying to take photographs or video that you're going to then go back through and analyze for orbs or apparitions, do not smoke. Your smoke can drift in front of that screen and give you false readings. So be aware of that. Okay, so this moves me into the next thing. Research the people you're trying to reach via EVP. If you didn't personally know them, I suggest you start with members of your family and friends that have passed on first. Then as you start moving on to other people, research those people. Did they have nicknames? How did they die? Who might have been with them, or if they were murdered, who did it to them? Research all of this. And without being rude, try to research and see who might still be living that you could speak to for more details, or historians. There's always room for the town gossip, but don't ever be rude or intrusive. The same when you go to research a location. Search the internet, read books, check with witnesses. Be thorough. Don't just use 6 people who all use the same source because that's the one they could pull up on the internet. Go through and see what else you can find. Take the original source and then you try to find your own source. When you're trying to speak to a spirit, it helps if you can call them by their nickname. Or, if it's somebody who went by multiple aliases, what would you prefer I call you? Find out, because these may trigger responses when you're asking for a specific person. Do your homework and keep notes like you wouldn't believe, because you may be able to start notes on a place and hit a dead end, and 3 years later you bump into someone, or you suddenly find something on the internet that finally connects the dots. You still have, and I use the composition notebooks, you still have your research from 3 years ago, so that you can now take this new information. Ah, that's what I was missing. And now you can kind of move forward with an investigation. Or if you've gone ahead and gotten EVPs and you've gotten responses that didn't quite make sense to you at the time, now all of a sudden there's a few things that are making sense and clicking. So I'm going to wrap this up because I know it's gone on for what seems to be forever. But I want to close with one thing. Please never ever go hunting alone. Always go with at least one other person so that there's two of you. Even if that person is only there to drive you and to be there as your security. Never go without a cell phone. You need to be able to call for help. Always go with a first aid kit. Be aware of your surroundings. Not just for stranger danger. In this day and age, you just always have to be aware. Be aware of your environment for wild animals, domesticated animals, holes in floors, and if you're going around what used to be a foundation for somewhere, wells and septics that may have caved in, beaches and shorelines and rivers, just be careful. No picture, no EVP is worth you getting hurt or worse to capture. It really isn't worth it. So with that being said, please, if you have any other tips or if you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments section. Remember to click subscribe on the red box below. Follow us and join us on the conversation on Facebook at Dragonfly Paranormal. And please follow me on Twitter at Dragonfly_para. Thank you and have a great day.